Hello, I'm Calvin Morris and I'm here today to talk to you about Batman vs Superman. Yes, I finally did it. I bit the bullet, I went to the cinema and I watched it. This is going to be a spoiler heavy review and I'm going to be talking about story elements here, so if you haven't seen the movie, I'm sorry, but you might want to give this a skip. For the rest of us though, let's talk about Batman vs Superman, shall we? I've got a cup of coffee right here, so I'm gonna say right out, I didn't hate the film. I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it. It wasn't, for me, it wasn't any worse for me than really sort of Man of Steel. You know, I think I gave Man of Steel like about a 7 out of 10 at the time. And I've like only watched Man of Steel like 4 times, you know, since it was in the cinema, and one of those times was last week when this film was coming out, because I just wanted to sort of freshen myself up on it, and sort of I knew I was going to see this film at some point, so I just wanted to have it sort of fresh in my memory. And this movie really wasn't. It was dumb. Okay, it was a dumb movie, and Batman Superman was just all over the place. You know, the editing in this movie is shocking. It just cuts to weird people doing weird things. You know, you're in the middle of like this one scene and then it cuts and Clark's making breakfast and you're like, well, why would you do that? You know, and it cuts back to Lex, and Lex is talking to a senator or something, and he's feeding him sweets, and you're like, why have you cut back to this? Couldn't you have just put that on the end of the scene when they were all together? You know, did you have to cut away from that to only to cut back to this? So the editing in this movie is all over the place. Okay, it's just a mess, and I believe if you were to take this movie and re-edit it, you would end up with a better film. Also, the characters in this movie, they all suffer what I would class as a terminal brain fart. Every character in this movie does. I would say the background characters are the ones that stand out as the more sensible. Think people like Perry White, played by Lawrence Fishburne, because I thought Perry White actually worked as a character in this, and much so than what he did in Man of Steel. Now, I'm going to talk about some of the characters in this first of all before I get to the big one. Batman. I think overall, Ben Affleck's Batman was solid. I genuinely believe that his delivery of it, he knew exactly what he did with his character, and any single time that Ben Affleck was on screen, I felt that he was letting the suit do the talking, and he was, you know, he performed to what the script gave him. Now, that being said, okay, the action in this film wasn't really anything to write home about, because whilst a lot of people have said, you know, oh, you know, you can see some of these elements here, it looks like, you know, one of the Arkham games. That's not a good thing. You know, if you can liken it to something that you've already had, then they're not giving you anything new. They're giving you something that's very similar to something you've already got. So it's not new. It's not really. And don't get me wrong, I like the action and the fighting skills that you get in those Arkham games, but basing a character's movie fight set off a game, it's gonna work for something like Assassin's Creed. But for Batman Superman, you kind of needed to step it up a little bit more, and so it was good. It was familiar, but I think, Ben Affleck was pretty much the standout piece of Batman Superman. I'm sort of intrigued to see what happens with that. I'm more intrigued to see what Ben Affleck can do with Batman than I am with any other characters. Wonder Woman in this film, completely superfluous. Totally, you can cut Wonder Woman entirely out of this film whatsoever and it won't change the end of this film at all. She's just dropped in there and it doesn't make any difference to the plot whatsoever. Superman, what a moper. You just wanted to slap him around the face and just say, cheer up, you miserable bugger. It was difficult with him because he was the focal point of these sort of terrorist attacks. So even though he wasn't responsible, they did a similar thing to him in Man of Steel, really. Even though he wasn't responsible, he was still the one taking the blame. And that's what happens in this film. He's not responsible, but he's the guy taking the blame. I will draw an issue with something, though, that they said in this movie. And Superman does directly say, I did not kill anyone out in the desert. Bullshit. Okay? I'm all for him, sort of, the way he disarmed some people or things like that. But I'm telling you, when he put that guy through that solid brick wall, the guy was dead. Okay? You can't put anybody at all through a solid brick wall and expect them to stay alive. Okay? And even if you stop them from hitting the wall, the force of you stopping them will turn them to soup. It's like, you killed somebody, mate. You're just dead. Okay? And it was the same with Batman, but I've kind of made my peace with Batman killing, okay? If you have to buy into the fact that, in the 89 Batman or Batman Returns, that Batman kills, then you have to accept it. I think it's more difficult that now that we've seen the Nolan verse, where that Batman is able to operate on a very sort of realistic level and doesn't kill, for them to then just sort of go back and say, this Batman kills, it's kind of lazy writing, I find. And that does become a problem in this film. And like I said, every character in this film has a major brain fart. Batman isn't able to figure out that Clark is Superman. Superman, I don't know what the hell he's doing. He's just sort of like being pulled along. People are just going, come on. And he's just going, alright then, come in, man. Lois Lane, for the most part, is very similar to Man of Steel, in that she seems to have a good, strong start, and then it peters out very quickly and just disappears into the ether. Let's get down to talking about Lex Luthor. Lex. I don't know what the hell Jesse Eisenberg was doing, but that wasn't Lex Luthor. Okay? If I was sat there watching the movie and I didn't know who that character was right the way throughout, and then I come out of the cinema and somebody said to me, who do you think that guy was? I'd be thinking about the DC characters in the DC universe and I'd be going, well, I guess he was Mad Hatter, because that's who he seemed like. He kept doing these quotes and he kept this thing with this egg timer, and it was like, I'm gonna guess Mad Hatter, and it turns out he's Lex Luthor, and it's like, I don't buy it. And by the way, they do name him as Alexander Luthor Jr., okay? That is Lex Luthor's proper name, okay? So for all those people saying, no, Lex Luthor Sr. is the proper Lex Luthor, this one's, that's not it at all, okay? Alexander Luthor and Alexander Luthor Jr. Lex Luthor Jr. is the guy we know as the guy who fights Superman. Another problem with this film, I felt that a lot of the stuff was, concerning the Dawn of Justice stuff, was just thrown in, and it didn't feel like it had a place in the film. To To be honest, I would have taken all that stuff out of the film. Like, you know, I would have taken Wonder Woman out, I would have taken Aquaman, Cyborg, The Flash, all those scenes, the nightmare scene, all that sort of stuff I would have taken out of the film. And what I would have done is I would have released one a week online building up to this film. I wouldn't have put it in the film at all. I would have just put one online each week on YouTube, just gone, check this out, check out this 2-minute bit, check out this 2-minute bit. And I would have completely left out of the film. Just not needed. Don't get me wrong, it looked nice, it looked absolutely fantastic, but so what? And that is a problem with Zack Snyder's directing, I'm afraid. It's the same with like his other movies. I've said before, Sucker Punch is a music video. You can turn the sound off and watch Sucker Punch, and it is a beautifully filmed, fantastically wildly imaginative movie. But the second you try to follow the plot, it's like it all falls apart. And that sort of happens in this film. The plot that Lex devises, I'm not entirely sure it is feasible to work. First off, the plan relies heavily on the fact that Lex knows that Batman hates Superman. How does he know? I mean, I don't know how he knows, so I'm guessing you don't know how he knows. And they never explain it in the film. So I don't know, you don't know, they don't explain it. Then it relies on the fact that Batman is going to fight Superman. And once again, I don't know, you don't know, they never explain it. Then it relies then heavily on the fact that Batman, who steals some kryptonite, is going to use it on Superman instead of just outright destroying it. Well, again, I don't know if he's going to do that. You don't know if he's going to do that. They don't explain it in the film. Then Lex convinces Superman to fight Batman so that Batman can kill him. Again, how he manages to convince Superman instead of just having Superman go find his mother, it relies much on luck. This plan just entirely revolves around luck. And then, not only that, but then they decide to work in the Death of Superman storyline. Oh, dear God. Where to begin? Where do you begin with that? Where do you begin with that? The Death of Superman storyline is a full movie in itself, okay? The fact that they put Doomsday in this film was a bloody mistake, right? Big mistake. Doomsday is not a character you just chuck in, okay? And the worst thing about it is that it's not Doomsday when you think about it, okay? He absorbs energy. He was created from DNA from a Kryptonian by Lex Luthor. It's Nuclear Man from Superman 4. That's what they've given us. This isn't Doomsday. It's Nuclear Man. Oh dear, they didn't give him a power set. You know, Doomsday does have a power set. Okay, he does have a power set. Do you know what his power is? Every time you kill him, he evolves so you can't kill him that way ever again. And that's his power set. That's it. So every time Superman slugs him with a punch and it kills him, he evolves to, you know, be able to take that punch. Every time you hit him with a bullet, he evolves so that shooting him with bullets doesn't work anymore. That's his power set, and it's a bloody good power set. But as for this whole absorbing radiation stuff and being able to shoot beams of energy from his eyes and all that, it was just like, crap. Why did you have to do it to Doomsday? Also, I feel sorry for the guy because as far as I can tell, he has no genitalia. He's not wearing any underwear or anything at all. He's a eunuch. And again, I do feel that this the Superman Doomsday story is enough for a film. And I also think that it was too early in Superman's career to do this. This is his second film. It was Henry Cavill's second turn as Superman. 4 films in, this would have made a lot of sense to me. But 2 films in, and I'm going, no, don't do it. And they did. And what would have been good is if that bit where you see sort of Doomsday come crashing out was sort of one of the last things you see, and then you just see the Justice League sort of going at him. But that didn't happen. It didn't happen that way, and that's not how it turned out. What about the fight between Batman and Superman? No surprises. Just didn't. No surprises in the film whatsoever. It happened the way I thought it was going to happen. It was very familiar to the Dark Knight Returns fight. But the animated series and the book done it better. So hell, what do you want from me? It was okay, but Batman was using a couple of the same tricks over and over. Superman was kind of falling for those tricks. Superman just wasn't very smart. And again, neither was Batman. So yeah. And like I said, Lex Luthor. Here's the thing with Lex's plan, okay? Lex's plan was to kill Superman, so he was going to use Batman. Batman, it didn't work out, so he created Doomsday. What was Lex's overall plan here? Because let's assume that Doomsday wins. Well, now what? You've just unleashed an unholy beast upon the planet that's going to just kill everything. Well done, Lex. So none of that made sense. It just didn't make sense at all. Diane Lane in this movie, god damn, that woman is still looking hot. Anyway, moving on. The dream sequences I felt were not needed. There's these bits where he's talking to Pa Kent and he's just like, why don't you put something else there? Why doesn't he have the Fortress of Solitude? And then it brought me back to the whole thing of the crashed ship being in the middle of Metropolis, and it was just like, Superman's just gonna leave that ship there? He's not gonna pick it up and put it somewhere safe, out of the way of people? He's just gonna leave it in the middle of the city for people to examine? But again, that comes back to every character having a brain fart. Another thing I didn't like was the musical score. I thought the musical score in this was just naff. Just completely naff. Every now and again they would hit you with the Man of Steel theme, which was just essentially somebody sitting down by a piano and hitting 3 notes. Ding ding ding. And it's like, that's not a musical score, mate. That is not a musical score. And then Wonder Woman shows up and suddenly they turn into Led Zeppelin. It was like, what the hell, what the hell is this? Suddenly we've gone from bad piano playing to hair metal. It was just naff. It was just naff. Didn't make me angry, but it was just like, I can just ignore this. I'm just gonna blank it. So what about good things in this film? Well, I guess the good thing of this is that I am looking forward to what Ben Affleck does as Batman, and I guess they can always do another Superman with Henry Cavill as well. They just needed to get this movie done out of the way and give it a miss. If I had to say a major what I felt was wrong, not just with the story but with the editing as well, but I think either this movie was too long and they needed to cut some more out of this movie to make it a shorter film, or the movie isn't long enough and they needed to include more material to fill you in on all the blanks as to how all these plans were going to work. So it's one or the other. Either the movie's too long or it's too short. But the length is at right now. They're giving you a bit more information than you need, and yet not enough information to finish the plot. So, and again, all the setup that you get for Dawn of Justice, again, they could have done it online. They could have just dropped those videos online, and people and it would have ramped people up for this movie. I'm gonna rate this movie. I give it a 5 out of 10. Would I give it more? Well, let's see. The music wasn't very good. The editing wasn't very good. The visual effects were, so that's a point. Ben Affleck was good. There's a point. Massive spoiler alert: they killed Jimmy Olsen. That's why. That could have been any photographer. Why did it have to be Jimmy Olsen? So it was just like, okay. Lawrence Fishburne was good in this film. I'll give you half a point for that, background character. For what she was given, Amy Adams was good in this film as well. So there's the other half of the point. So that's 3 points there. The costumes look better than what I had previously seen and what I had previously imagined. The emotion on screen, it seemed to work, and I did kind of like Ben Affleck's Batman outfit. I'll give it half a point. Jeremy Irons was good in this film. I'll give him another half a point. So we're up to 4. 4. There must be another point around there somewhere. Let's go for the attempt of the fight scene between Batman and Superman. I'll give half a point for that. I'll give half a point as well for the Doomsday fight. Actually, I give a quarter of a point for the Doomsday fight. Oh. 4 3/4. Not quite 5. That's where I'm gonna leave it. I can't find anything else in this movie. The opening, okay. The first half hour, I will give the final point to the opening of this film, because whilst it seemed, it was one of those other dream sequencey things and an origin story again, and you know, we don't need to see Thomas and Martha being shot once again, but I thought that it was a little less literal this time, and I thought it was a bit more artsy and a little bit more inventive, and obviously seeing the Metropolis fight from the other point of view. So the first half hour of this film gets the other point, so it's a little over 5 out of 10. I'm gonna call it 5 1/4. But not by much. So it's a little bit over 5 out of 10. That's my thoughts on Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. A higgledy-piggledy, all out of place, badly edited, badly scored, insane plot that couldn't possibly ever work, with characterizations that just are insane, and a character that clearly isn't the character he says he is. So, anyway, that's my thoughts on Batman v Superman. Feel free to like and comment on this video. Also, subscribe to this channel or go over and join me on Google+. But until next time, I'll see you later, guys.